Well, thanks again for joining us here on Real Talk Real Estate. I'm Robert Johnson. I got a special guest here, Baron King, with us with Fairway Mortgage. We're going to be talking about quite a few things today, all real estate related. So, Baron, tell us about what's going on with the mortgage market right now.
Yeah. So it's kind of, we have 5 weeks of consistent decline in interest rates, pretty consistently past 5 weeks. But this week we've kind of seen a little bit of an uptick in the bond market. What we saw was, last week, what was last week? What was last Wednesday? Something like that, 48, yeah, something about 13, 14. Then we had a CPI reading. Inflation came back cooler than expected, which is good. The market responded pretty well to that. Shelter inflation was coming down, which is it's a big thing with the Fed. They think it's 1970, so they think that we have entrenched inflation, which means, we would have entrenched inflation if housing inflation or shelter inflation still stayed high, but it's coming down. Kind of gives us a sign that it's not what they think it is.
Okay.
So the market responded well. The 10-year yield came down to the 3.3, and there was really a line at 3.4 that we couldn't really break through.
Mm-hmm.
And it was doing good. And in the beginning of this week, it came back with a little bit of a bounce back with a 10-year yield. I think last time I checked, it might be different now. It was like in the 3.5s.
Okay.
That's because of earnings. So a couple of these companies are coming back with good earnings for their quarterly earnings, which suggests, a hot economy. So now the bond market, Wall Street, everybody thinks that the Fed is going to be inclined to hike rates again, and they're meeting in May because they don't meet this month.
Mm-hmm.
They're meeting in May. Maybe they have a meeting this month. I can't remember. So now they're expecting another rate hike. Some Fed representatives have been advocating another 0.25 rate hike. Some people think we should hold. Personally, I think we should probably hold.
Me too.
Just because there's a 6 to 12 month lag in rate hikes anyways. When you hike rates as quickly as they did, which is why we saw banks like Silicon Valley and Signature go under, you're going to start breaking things, which is what they did, and they kind of fixed it, bailing out all these banks. But you're going to see some pretty quick issues run in. They're projecting a recession by the end of this year, by mid to late this year. A lot of experts expect that. The good news for mortgage rates is traditionally in a recession, it'll go up a little bit and then it'll come down pretty quick.
Yeah. Kind of the way we saw the rates dropping in the beginning was they dropped to keep a recession from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that funny? In that brief period of time, we go from night and day.
Oh, yeah.
Stopping a recession to now it's about the
yes. Yeah.
And they were all hilarious to me. It's not funny, but it is.
Yeah. They were all like, oh, soft landing.
Right.
Powell is kind of just trying not to completely crash the plane.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure everybody survives the plane crash.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, if we're in a recession, it sounds scary. But most consumers in the United States, their balance sheet's pretty good. Most homeowners have a good balance sheet. Their interest rate is in the high 2s, 3s.
Mm-hmm.
They have a really good interest rate. So we're not going to see dramatic housing price drop like we did in 08.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be forced credit sales. There's not going to be all these other issues.
Mm-hmm.
What we're probably going to see is what's kind of scary is if we see a reduction in interest rates, we're going to see a flood of demand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we might have some more inventory because people are more willing to relocate. They can sell their house. They're more willing to trade a 3 for a 5.
Exactly.
It's great. But problem is you have so much pent-up demand right now that when you open up the floodgate, it's going to be another crazy market where we have a lot of competition. Ribbon went under, but we're going to see probably a lot of this cash programs come back, similar to Ribbon and I can't remember what the other one was called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They basically just make a cash offer for you, contingent on the sale of your house and some other things, and they charge you some pretty hefty fees to get it done, but it gets the offer accepted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, we're probably gonna see a lot of those things that get right now. It's just kind of it's an interesting market for people right now anyways, because buying power is down, but, competition's low.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's really no good timing where we're at right now.
But even though the competition is, and as a whole, it really is, but the properties that have priced right, I've noticed still multiple offers, I just got one under contract the other day. I've been working with this lady for months, and, finally we decided to make a full price offer. That was insane.
Yeah.
But really that and some other things that I did got the property accepted. We got the contract accepted, but there were 3 offers.
Yeah.
On, to me, a house that is at the top of the market.
Yeah.
So the demand definitely is still there.
Oh, it's 100% there. And that's why you have those multiple offer situations, because there's not a lot of inventory. Builders stopped building for a while because they figured their bed's just not going to stop. So we might as well go to multifamily and start having a nation of renters. And now, the demand for single family housing is going to come back up, and we don't have the builders really preparing to get that inventory. So, we're still in the situations with those. And what you said, the houses that are priced right go quickly. And the ones in the price range were a lot of first-time home buyers.
Oh, yeah.
Those go quickly as well.
Extremely, yeah. So, the local market here in Middle Georgia, I've noticed some crazy things over the last couple of years. But, on average, like the first-time home buyer a couple of years ago was in the 125 range. At 130 really is where everybody wanted to be. But now, those houses in that type of house is now 200 and 225. So it really, people have had to change their mindset a lot. It's just like the whole thing. Every time your interest rates go up 1%, I think it changes your buying power like 20% and stuff like that in this market. But those houses that are under 200,000 in this area go extremely, extremely quick. You still got a lot of cash buyers from out of state coming too.
Oh yeah,
people have to be prepared for that, and you have to be as competitive. If you want to buy a house, there's ways that you can do it. It's just not as simple as it once was.
Oh no, and I like what you said with the cash offers from out of state. Georgia is a pretty desirable state for people to move to.
Absolutely.
Compared to other states like California. I had a buyer from Texas, and he was surprised by our property tax.
Yeah.
He was like, my property taxes are cheap compared to where I was in, I think he was in San Antonio, something like that. He was like, my property taxes are so much cheaper here, and my insurance is cheaper here.
Insurance, yeah.
And then you have those people, they just have a ton of equity that they were just sitting on because those markets were crazy.
Yeah.
And already overvalued. And so then they leave their state with $200,000 in, equity, and then their property taxes were what most people's. They could buy down somebody's interest rate a significant amount with the property taxes they're paying.
Seriously.
So that brings a tough thing for demand. A lot of lenders are trying to find ways to help people compete with those. I know we have a cash advantage program where we basically will underwrite people up front, well, then to be determined. So that all we need is an appraisal, and we can pretty much run from there. Title appraisal, order that. Close a little bit quicker, make it kind of look like a cash offer, and offer a quicker close and things like that. We have a couple steps that they can go to where it's like a cash guarantee. We'll pay cash. Fairway, there's nothing, and I might be wrong quoting this, but it's something along the lines of, the borrower quits their job or something like that. Something that typically would stop the transaction from happening. We've already said, no, we're guaranteeing this and we will pay.
Oh, wow.
We'll fund it anyways. And then I think it's, if the seller doesn't feel comfortable with it, they can walk away, and Fairway will grant them $10,000 to walk away. If I'm recalling the program correctly, we might need to add a little add number there, but if I'm remembering from what I've seen on the flyers and the information on the program, that's what my understanding of the product is.
Yeah.
Other things like that, they're trying to make it more competitive for people, because we don't want to I mean, for those more credit challenged individuals and people with not great credit, but still should have the opportunity to get homeownership, we don't want them to run the situation that they were the past couple of years where nobody would take an FHA.
Right. And that to me is sad when, and not just, but what about VA? I mean, you've got veterans who earn the right to use their VA, and I have to advise against it and recommend that they would use a conventional loan, if they, just to be competitive. Luckily there are, some appraisers out there that understand the market. There's a few in this area seriously notorious VA undervaluing property. It's so sad. And all of the agents around here know these individuals and they did this, you know what I mean? So I advise their sellers, we probably don't want to even consider VA, because you got this one appraiser will come in, $20,000,
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, you really want to give those people a chance, though, because they're veterans. They fought for us. You know what I mean? So I think they should be at the top of the...
Yeah, if they can be more desirable for maybe, I guess it's maybe a slower close is what it's the turnoff, but it's a veteran. You see a VA buyer come through, you think you'd want to give them that opportunity.
Luckily, with it being a military town, there are a lot of veteran homeowners, and when they're selling their property, they will do that.
Yeah.
But just in general, the main thing is the appraisal. There's a lot of things that have to be. Here's a prime example. Just had one where it was VA, and there was a porch that was kind of high off the ground. Well, the standards are that the spindles they have to be less than 4 inches, okay? There were quite a few spindles. I'm not kidding you when I say I went over and measured them myself, and all we were good. Fraser comes back and says they're not less than 4 inches. Several of them here, I'm not kidding you, dead on 4 inches. I got the pictures to prove it, but because they were not less than 4 inches, I'm not kidding you, and that's splitting hairs, in my opinion, and I'm sorry, that's the reason people do not want to consider VA offers.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yeah.
That appraiser that I was talking about a minute ago, he was the guy, and luckily he valued our property right, and we closed, but, it ended up costing the buyer $425 for his revisits over 4 inches. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm probably scaring a lot of buyers right now. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, that's why you come talk to people like us, because we can help you understand that it's really not that scary. We can help you navigate the process. It sounds scary, but those are specific scenarios where issues arose and certain things happened, but those are experiences that we learn from and help guide people around.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. If the first time that happens the first time things like that happen to me, I am amazed by it, but I figure out a way around it. And the next time, it is a great learning experience for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, like the appraisal that we talked about, where the appraiser never went out there, you were alone area. I had one where an appraiser went out there 2 days after we ordered the appraisal, and didn't turn in the appraisal for I think 2 weeks. And I was raised again.
Up in the for kid, yeah.
Oh, I was emailing because we can't really directly communicate with them.
Right.
So I was going to the appraisal management company, and they're probably like, "Who is this guy?" Like, one, he's pissed because they could probably tell from my tone. There wasn't any profanity coming through the emails, but they could tell by the tone of the emails that I'm holding something back.
Yeah.
Because these people, it was a deal that we had. Somebody had gone with a different lender. The lender had ordered the wrong appraiser to go out there.
Oh no!
And the appraisal came back $23,000 short.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to I picked them up. I said, we could restructure where we could still close even if it comes short, but we'll order another appraisal and we'll help you guys out. And We ordered the new appraisal and it came back at value. At value. Probably, I mean, it was late and it came in at the C5, what we talked about. Luckily, we're still able to close it because it was conventional. For people that don't understand what a C5 is, it just means that it's not the best condition of a property. Yeah. But you can still close a conventional loan. It's still, Fannie Mae will still buy it on the secondary market. But it came in so late. Yeah. It's just, sometimes we can't really control appraisers. Sure. We can harass the agencies to death to make sure that they're not. So now, anytime I have an appraisal, I am asking. Like, if there is not a response from anybody in every 2 days or so, I am asking questions. I am on top. What's the problem? That's usually the one thing that holds you up. It's the last thing you need to get cleared, and then you get it clear to close. So I'm like, let's get this done quickly ahead of time so that if we have a ratio issue, say a homeowner's insurance quote comes back hot, we can handle that. But we need to know the value of the house so that it's not double whammy and we're not spreading around, the buyer stressing. We want to get that taken care of so that they're not freaking out.
And see, that's the funny thing. The one appraiser valued it at $23,000 less than contract value, and next appraiser comes in and everything is fine.
Yeah.
How? You know what I mean? That things like that make no sense to me, especially, and I do, when I list the house, I leave my comps on the counter for the appraiser. Yeah, I don't mind doing their job for them because I'm not going to, I'll say this, I'm not going to tell you your house is worth 200 if it's really worth 150. You know what I mean? I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to buy your listing, but, you know, it just blows my mind how appraisers can do that.
We don't know. They all have their methods, and I talked to the listing agent because I think he is working to become a licensed appraiser, and he said that the guy defended it well. His research and all the paperwork that he had with it defended it well. Did he agree with it? Because it's an opinion of value. It's an opinion, so people can have different opinions. But he had done some sort of time value analysis. I don't know exactly what the wording is, but he had only done like a 2% market appreciation. Oh, wow. From like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Oh, my. So that's why I came, because there wasn't a comp in the year period.
I mean, you can calculate about a 3% maybe.
Yeah, not recently. Not recently. Not with the markets over.
No, we're talking 30% in some cases. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. And the average home value, I was listening to one of the news sources I listened to, which is the real estate specific. We were talking about how the average home price in America still year-over-year appreciation from last year to this month, April, is 7% appreciation. Why don't? I think it was like 460-something thousand. It's still appreciating. Yeah. Now there's some timing of that because it's typically where the market's a little bit higher priced. Just because you have more demand. This is, people get out of spring break. Kids are wrapping up school. We're thinking maybe want to list the house, maybe want to go buy a new house, downsize, something, because it's the time where it's easier to move and get people ready for the new new area, new house, home. Keep you ready for school next year. So there's some things there, but even then, the trend was we still had some appreciation. People were like, "Oh, market's going to crash." Stock traders, stock traders, the stock market
the buyers say, "Well, I'm just going to wait until the market crashes," and okay, they're still sitting there without a house.
They're still waiting, and they probably just lost $20,000 in buying power.
Yeah, or could the interest rates? And I mean, like you just said, 7%. If it continues even on a small scale, those people are never going to get what they really wanted and should have listened in the beginning, really.
Yeah,
to go ahead and buy.
Yeah, and people are always like, "Well, is it a good time? Is it a good time?" The typical saying is, the advice is, it's best time to buy if you can afford it.
Right.
Because it's a wealth generating asset.
Right.
You don't time the market, you get in the market. You get in the game and play the game. You can't win the game if you're never playing.
That's true.
So you got to get in. There's no way to time it to jump in the game. You just got to get in. And if it makes sense, and that's why, again, we talk to professionals about it, I'm not going to tell somebody if they can't afford it, go buy a house.
Right.
If normally the questions I ask, and I've said this in a couple of other like webinars since I've talked about, I'm asking what you're comfortable with paying a month. I'm asking what the max, if you found a dream home, right, and you just fell in love with it, how much would you be willing to go up to? Where you could maybe take a little bit of pain, save some money, don't eat out as much, don't buy some other stuff, kind of cut back on your wants. What would you be willing to pay per month? Because, right now, too, you'll be able to refinance probably in the near future. But I'm never going to set somebody up where you're,
To be absolutely house poor. Never could go on vacation.
Yeah.
That's not a good life.
When I'm structuring it, I'm trying to make sure that, too, that you're walking away with money because, you might want to go get some new furniture. You might want to go, get some paint the walls, pay for something nice to redo the house because it's your new place. You want to go do something in it.
Yeah.
You don't want to, because I know there's people that do it, they'll move in and they just sell.
Yeah.
Which is okay. You're in the game.
Yeah.
But, you'd like to have some furniture.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, it's just, can't time it.
Yeah.
It's hard to time. So the best time is just to get it, and you can.
Yeah. To me, like you said, it is an investment, and it's not like, I don't know, it's not like any other purchase that you make. It's a necessity for one thing. You have to have a place to live. Do you have to buy a house? Absolutely not. You can rent, but real estate investors are in the game with rental properties for a reason. And at the end of the game they're going to cash those monopoly houses in or trade them for the hotel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a lot like Monopoly. Really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
So, why not have that house? I always tell clients this, that at the end of your lease when you're renting, you may get your security deposit back. Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's if the place is super clean.
Yeah.
When you get ready to move, when you own a house, most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, you're going to have some equity that you can either sell the house and cash in, upgrade. That's what I've done most of the time, is upgrade and kind of leapfrog into a better place. Or the smart thing, which I wish I would have done, did with a couple of houses, but keep the house, rent it, have some money saved up so you can do that down payment on the new place, but keep that house. After you've done that 6 or 7 times,
you have additional income now.
Additional income like crazy. I mean, and at the end of the day, rent is another thing that has increased. I've had people in the Middle Georgia area tell me about their rent increases that had just been, it would be extremely painful for me if I was a renter.
Yeah.
So those things going up and up and up, and at the end of, when it gets time to retire, you know what I mean? You can either keep that cash coming in or you sell it if you can, invest it in other places, whatever you want to do with it. But you've got cash there where you would not have had if you would have just rented.
Yeah, you have a asset that's producing monthly income that, has a fixed debt on it too. So that you're paying down that principal. Hopefully, if you set it up right, you're making a little bit off the top, but you're paying down that principal. So that by what we're talking about, by the end of it, if you just decide to, you have either 100% equity, it's paid off, you can just sell it, take out whatever the home's worth, and you make that. Capital gains might bite you a little bit, and you might be like, oh crap, there's capital gains for you. You could do the 1031
exchange, yeah.
Trade your doors for a 12-unit multi-family or something like that. But yeah, the monthly cash flow that comes from that makes your life a little bit more comfortable because, eventually some people trade off. They don't work anymore.
Yeah, right.
They just manage their properties, or if they have enough doors, they have somebody else manage their properties.
Yeah.
Which is the game, how most people want to end the game, because then it's truly passive.
Yeah. All you're doing at that point's getting a check.
You get a check, and you make some phone calls every once in a while to make a decision on the property. Yeah. That's it.
And, one of our last videos that we did was talking about property management, and that really is the way to go. It's a small monthly fee that they charge, but you're not having to, the owner is not having to take calls on a clogged sink and that sort of thing. I did not long ago, I put a post on Facebook, something about, you're buying a house, whether you're buying it for yourself or your landlord, And one of the guys, he always has something cute to say to any of my posts, and he says something about to the effect of, yeah, when the flooring needs to be changed, I just call my landlord. When my air conditioning needs to be changed, I just call my landlord. Like, well, you got a great landlord. Yeah, for one thing, the flooring needs to be changed.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Mindset like that, you really can't change.
No.
I mean,
No.
so, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about the property management, I'm sorry, the property management, if somebody has a clogged sink and they call you late at night or whatever, it's better to be the landlord. You get the call, hey, there is a clogged sink. It's going to cost $500 because of whatever. Do you want us to fix it? You just, you know what I mean? And it really is. You just make the decisions at that point. It's a small fee to pay to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, and for a couple of houses, it only makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Talking about the equity part of that, though, we're talking about building the equity. We talk about the annual real estate review that we've talked about in the past.
Absolutely.
For, people that currently own their house and they want to see maybe how much equity they've built into it, maybe their potential tax benefits, owning the home, the interest they paid in the year. Specifically, people that are in the earlier stages of their loan that have bought recently. Well, people don't understand that you typically, they give you the amortization table, and people have shown the charts before. They don't really understand the benefit behind it, or the benefit behind actually understanding how to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the early stages of a 30-year mortgage, I think for the first 15 years or so, but prior to the first 5 years, a majority of your payment, even though it's fixed, it hasn't changed, a majority portion of that payment goes straight to interest.
Yeah.
Because the bank, this is how I explain to people. If you let your friend a bunch of money, $100,000, you would want $100,000 back pretty quickly. You'd want to get your money back because you fronted them a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So the bank is like, okay, you can pay down a little bit of your principal, but we kind of want our interest back pretty quickly because we just, we got you in the house, we gave you a bunch of money, but the government was like, yeah, they got you in the house, they gave you a bunch of money, you're paying them, but you can write that off on your income taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first 5 years, you're paying a significant amount of interest.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's above a standard deduction, the total for that year, it might make sense to go talk to your CPA and see, would it make sense for me to deduct this on my income? And this is tax in too, so I guess it would be a conversation now, but
Yesterday was tax day.
yeah, God me stitch. But, you can always go talk to your CPA and see if there's a benefit there because you could, end up with saving some money in taxes.
Yeah.
And we could talk about what that might be. I'm not a CPA, I'm not a financial advisor, but we can kind of get an idea of public information that we have available to us and kind of figure out in the area what it looks like.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Barry and I both offer. He is a loan officer. I'm a realtor, but we both offer a service called Real Estate Review, and we meet with our past clients, whether they have one house or multiple houses, and go over what the value of that property is. If you're any sort of like stock investor or wherever, you're going to meet with your wealth advisor and go over your assets, right? Your house is, in our opinion, the biggest asset that you have. So we help our clients on a regular basis and cover those things. So,
because it's important to understand, it's probably the most powerful asset most people have on their personal balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just so many different ways you can use it. It holds its value for a long period of time, and you get the benefit of living in it. Right, it's something you get. It's one of the few assets you get to really take advantage of, and it increases in value. Because your car, like we were talking about, cars really don't go up.
No, they go down for the most part.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
yeah,
But
yeah. So it's important to understand it and all the aspects that go into it.
yeah.
And I think it's powerful for you to reach out or consumers to reach out to professionals like us that can help them truly understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we do. That's literally what we do every day. It's what we live and breathe. So, definitely powerful.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining me today, man. I appreciate it. It was a great conversation as always.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video. It really helps us out a lot, and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any questions, give me a call, give Barrett a call about buying a home. We partner a lot together. So, if we could do anything to help you, even just questions, you got questions, give us a call. More than happy to help. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Have a good one.